Sophie St. Jacques' excitement plummeted as she slid down the water slide at the aqua park, turning into a desperate scream as she was thrown off the float. Rolling uncontrollably, she painfully collided with its rigid walls. Suddenly, she was sucked into a closed water tube, leaving her husband uncertain about
Wrong way! Where did she go?
her well-being for several agonizing seconds. Did she manage to hold her breath to conquer that part of the slide? Would she emerge unharmed, or possibly break a leg, limping for the rest of her life? Could she hit her head, lose consciousness, and drown in the pool? Just how deadly can water parks be?
I think that can be deadly, so I'm not sure if I want to watch the video until the end, because in general I love water slides. But I'm a very I get scared very easily.
If you're curious about how the summer of 2023 unfolded in water parks, brace yourself. In Omaha, USA, a 6-year-old boy lost his life. In Turkey, a tourist died on a 5-star hotel's water slide. In France, a father died in front of his daughter as their inflatable castle was blown away by the wind.
What? Like everything you can imagine can actually happen. Okay.
2 more fatal incidents occurred in the United Kingdom. Are water parks genuinely this perilous? Or are these just unfortunate incidents happening everywhere? Indeed, water slide injuries can happen.
Of course that can happen. Where a lot of people come together and visiting parks, of course there will be some incidents. This is totally normal. There cannot be millions of visitors in water parks every day without any incident.
Much like on a regular beach.
I have my grapes.
Ranging from minor scrapes to bruises. Yet serious injuries can occur unexpectedly, as was the case at the Texas water park, Hawaiian Falls, with Lauro Casterjohn. On a Sunday morning in the summer of 2015, after attending church, he, along with his wife and grandson, headed to the aqua park. Lauro enjoyed water slides until he decided to ride the aqua tube.
Seems like a totally normal water slide, right? I could have been with this water slide, so what can actually happen there?
Closed slide with several sharp turns. Lauro jumped into the tube, joyfully sliding for a few meters, until he realized his body was no longer gliding. He understood there was no water around to aid.
Poor skin, that burns on the skin, yeah? When there are some spots inside the water slide where there's no water, you know that feeling. And then your pure skin is rubbing over the dry slide. That hurts just, ooh.
The slide. He was stuck in the narrow tube, shrouded in darkness, and could barely move. The only relief was that he wasn't claustrophobic. Trying to free himself, Lauro was helpless, forced to wait for help. Suddenly, he heard water splashes and screams from above.
But that happened to me, as well. When you're sliding on your bathing pants. I hope that's the right word. And you have not enough speed, that you need some speed again. And then you have to run through this water slide. I did it a few times, but actually when I was a kid. So I was very small, you're very flexible. But when you're an adult guy and you're maybe a little bit overweight, yeah, then it's difficult to come forward, right? And this could be the problem in this case.
Fear struck him. The park staff had allowed the next visitor to descend. Within seconds, he felt a strong impact and lost consciousness. He woke up at the pool's bottom, pulled out by a stranger shouting, "I almost killed you." The visitor who collided with Lauro was terrified, but thankfully uninjured. In the hospital, Lauro was diagnosed with injury.
In our childhood, we did it as well. We called it traffic jam inside the water slide. Some people stopped and new kids are sliding in the back of the other kid. That was kind of creepy until a security guy came and banned this behavior. But actually, we did it a few times. That was scary when you know there is someone coming with a lot of speed. And this is kind of dangerous. You can see it in here. This guy was injured.
Injuries to his shoulder, head, spine, and legs.
Everything was injured.
The water park administration claimed adherence to all rules, labeling it as a tragic accident.
Of course. All parks say that. They have to save themselves.
Compensation. They offered Lauro 3 free tickets to the aqua park.
Oh wow, $69.99. Oh, he got a voucher of like nearly $80. That's crazy. Thank you so much. I was nearly half a year in a hospital. My invoices, my bills from the hospital, they were like over a few $1,000s, and you gave me nearly $80 of vouchers. This is so kind of you.
Furthermore, Hawaiian Falls representatives
I do not want to go in your water park again either.
urged Lauro not to sue, reminding him of his non-US citizenship. In the process of obtaining citizenship, outraged Lauro sought legal assistance. Ultimately, Hawaiian Falls was found negligent, and they compensated Lauro with $100,000.
Nah, okay, 100K is okay.
12,000 of which covered medical expenses. Water park rides often turn
yeah,
into
so he make a profit of 88,000. Maybe he regrets the day, maybe he's not.
wild rides for all the wrong reasons, mainly because they don't offer enough protection for thrill seekers. Take, for instance, the glass water.
What? Oh my god, this is like this. How stressful is it to construct such a water slide and to check it? This has to be checked for some people. In Germany, I think I'm from Germany. I'm German, by the way. And in Germany, like the security rules are very like on a very, very high level. Yeah, the bar is very high in Germany, so it gets checked like every day, I guess, or like better like in a lot of other countries. One of the safest countries in aspects of like checking things, it's called the TÜV. And yeah, so this is like very stressful to check that, but this is fun. It's in China. Okay. China was not on my travel list, to be honest, but that sounds fun. That looks fun.
Slide in the Chinese city of Tonglu. People zoom down on inflatable rafts through a see-through chute, hanging just about 4 meters above the treetops.
That is cool, but only one glass plate has to be broken, then it's over.
Now, on the last Saturday of September 2023, a kid, eagerly anticipating the ride with their mom.
Oh, okay, it is going up, and here's the start, I guess, and then you're like, whew, sliding here down. And the picture we have seen like was from here.
As their raft twisted on the next turn, it flipped. The terrified mom grabbed the child, desperately searching for a safe spot to exit the track. But before she could realize there was nowhere to hide, another raft knocked them off.
This is real footage, guys.
Off their feet. Stuck on its nose, pressed by their raft, they couldn't escape this trap.
They're crying, screaming. Okay, I do not want to be mean. Maybe it was dangerous, but actually it's not that fast.
As they vanished
Just sit down and the boat will pick you up, the next boat.
around the next turn, another panicked woman emerged from the opposite side,
What happened
thrown
there?
off a raft. Constantly
She's
screaming,
crying.
she desperately grabbed
Relax, you will survive it. Come on, I'm sorry.
support to stay on her feet, but slipped, nearly catapulting over the extremely low railings. Like the previous victims, she hoped to find shelter, but instead, a wave knocked her and the next raft away. Miraculously, one woman was saved on a turn, but the child who fell off earlier suffered head injuries. Visitors generally trust that these attractions prioritize safety.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe my channel. My name is Mats, if you haven't done it yet. I know, it's annoying to say that again and again, but a lot of people forgot it.
But the president of one of the oldest US water parks confirmed that injuries, even deaths on rides, unfortunately aren't uncommon.
Every amusement park, every water park has incidents and injuries and sometimes
Of course, you cannot avoid it. This is totally normal. You cannot actually avoid it.
tragically so. It's just part of the industry.
Yeah, it's part of the industry, exactly.
Is the industry
And of course, when you're like visiting a theme park and you're going on these attractions, you always have to you have the risk that something can happen, okay?
this cynical? Or are visitors to blame for their misfortunes? The answers led a British couple from Manchester, Jamie Norman and Vicky Holberg, to personally investigate in 2014. They finally took their long-awaited vacation to the Spanish amusement center, Aqualandia, known for having one of the world's tallest slides called
Vertigo. Oh my god.
Vertigo. Visitors plunge from a height of 33 meters, reaching speeds of 97 kilometers
97 kilometers per hour. This is so fast. You cannot even enjoy it. Oh my gosh. This water slide looks fun. Aqualandia. I have to go there. This is crazy. When you're sliding that fast, you cannot even enjoy it because all the water is just splashing into your face. you can barely breathe.
per hour after experiencing a terrifying moment when a hatch opens beneath their feet. This scared off many, but not Jamie Norman. After descending twice, he went for vertigo again. As the operator began the countdown, showing Jamie a thumbs up and pressing the hatch release, a strange sound, unheard before, caught his attention a second before the drop.
Imagine the moment you realize that was a really strange noise. I don't know that noise. My other two tries, there were not any noise. Here's something going on. Oh my god, horrible moment.
He panicked that something was wrong, but there was nothing he could do. Falling into the tube, Jamie felt something tearing at his leg skin. Then he slammed his hands and later his face against the partially opened hatch. Rolling into the pool, now tinted red with blood. Chaos ensued. People scattered, and Norman, in pain, cried for help. His shocked wife, Vicky, stared at her husband's unrecognizable, bloodied face, resembling a gruesome mask. Later, a rescuer approached Norman and escorted him to the local trauma center. The couple begged for an ambulance, but the park staff hesitated. Instead, they treated Norman's wounds, handed him a few
Because they wanted that that the public doesn't know.
free tickets to the zoo and escorted them out of the water park as he screamed in pain, frightening other visitors. On the way out, the injured man
Of course they want that this incident doesn't pop up on the media and on the press and the newspapers. Of course.
was shocked to see Vertigo operating as if nothing had happened, with kids waiting in line. For the rest of the vacation, Vicky tended to the wounded Norman. When they returned to Britain, Norman ended up in the hospital. His wounds slowly healed, and the family hoped to return to normal life soon. But their trials were just beginning. Due to facial scars, Norman started to think he would
What happened? His whole leg here is sliced. Okay, maybe there was like a sharp edge or something inside this water trap. I didn't really understand how that happened.
was no longer attractive to Vicky. Unable
Or I cannot really imagine, to be honest.
to forget the slide incident, he became distant and irritable, leading to arguments. Eventually, after a year, the situation deteriorated so much that the couple raising 2 children had to separate.
What? They're separate, but you cannot, this is not the fault of the water park that you're separating. Okay?
Norman sought psychological help to try to rebuild what was once a happy life with Vicky. But how did Aqualandia's staff react to this tragedy? They claimed to conduct daily checks on all their rides and
They gave them vouchers and worth $80.
insisted they would never open a slide if it were dangerous or faulty. So, according to the park administration, Jamie Norman was to blame for Vertigo's hatch not opening. Unfortunately, such behavior in theme parks is not uncommon, even in the world-famous Disneyland. In October of 2019, Emma McGinnis and her family were celebrating her 13th birthday at Disney's Typhoon Lagoon Water Park in Florida. The tallest and wildest ride there was the Humunga Cowabunga. You start by getting into a closed tube at a height of 65 meters, which is like a 5-story building. Then, picking up speed at almost 65 kilometers per hour, you shoot out into an open trough. Emma McGinnis couldn't pass up such a thrill. Like all the ride-goers, she was told to go down with crossed ankles to avoid getting hurt during the descent. Emma followed the attendant's instructions and eagerly plunged into the dark tube, angled at 60 degrees. She sped through it faster and faster until landing in a horizontal trough. But right after the stop, Emma felt excruciating pain in her stomach. When she stood up, she saw that she was bleeding heavily.
Adrenaline. You recognize very, very late that you're actually that you're injured or that you're bleeding. In the first moment, you do not even notice because your adrenaline is doing everything.
She couldn't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
It felt so awful that she had to call an ambulance. Initially, Emma was taken to the nearest hospital, then had to be transported to another one where a gynecology specialist was available. It turned out that during the slide, Emma's leg lifted slightly despite being crossed. And when she hit the standing water below at breakneck speed, her swimsuit turned into a wedge that literally cut into her body.
Where, into her thighs or between?
The pressure from the fabric and water was so powerful that Emma suffered serious, partially irreversible damage to her reproductive and internal organs. After a lengthy rehabilitation, she sued Disney, accusing them of negligence and seeking compensation. Later, Emma's lawyers discovered that many women were actually getting injured on the Humunga Kawabunga. Moreover, the water park supposedly knew that crossed ankles didn't protect visitors on the ride, especially women, but chose to ignore this fact. But come on, these theme parks can't allow people on dangerous rides knowingly, or can they? In 2014, when in the suburbs of Melbourne, Australia, the Peninsula Aquatic Recreation Centre opened.
Okay, guys, we make the shout out in this video. Shout out goes out to GumRam1469. Thank you so much for your comment, for your support. If you want to get a shout out in the next video, just subscribe my channel and comment down below. Okay, let's go on. This is very interesting.
Locals were thrilled you could swim, do water aerobics, hit the gym, and most importantly, relax with your kids. The first ones to do so were the center's staff with their families at a closed event on August 28th. Their attention was drawn to the star attraction, the Aquasphere. It's a closed slide where 4 passengers ride on one raft, passing through 3 5-meter spheres and navigating turns at a 90-degree angle. Another green slide was designed for single or double rafts and had several circular turns. So, at the first party in the Aqua Center, people had fun going down the slides. That was until...
Looks fun, actually. But I don't know. I have these big bubbles. I've never seen them before. Maybe they have some danger inside.
An unfortunate incident happened. One of the visitors hit his head on the inside of the tunnel. The injury wasn't too serious, so it was quickly brushed off. However, very soon, the situation happened again. This time, the victim's condition turned out to be much more severe. A bloodied visitor and an ambulance surely spoiled.
Yeah, then the water park, of course, has to do something when there's like a very hard incident. Otherwise, they get criticized a lot. I have seen someone injured in the water park as well. I was very young. It was like just on the ground, because there were like very slippery tiles on the ground, and he was running and then he fell. He slipped and he fell on his head. And he was bleeding, so he has a wound on his head, just bleeding. The ground was covered with blood. I remember that, but this was, I think, the only incident I have seen with my own eyes.
Spoiled the grand opening of the Peninsula Center. Both visitors suffered brain injuries, with other victims reported later on. For instance, a woman named Becky Morsetto ended up with a massive bruise on her knee and back pain. Another visitor suffered facial injuries. And all this happened on a new slide that cost almost $50 million to build and was supposed to open at the center.
That is expensive. 50 million? Is that realistic? Or maybe they got scammed.
Nevertheless, the park administration had to close the slide for a whopping 10 months. After some minor adjustments,
that hurts.
It was presented to visitors once again, and almost immediately, another unfortunate incident occurred. A father decided to ride the Aquasphere with his 2 sons. They excitedly took their place on the inflatable raft and dove into the darkness of the slide. However, things went completely off plan. The younger boy, around 7 years old, was thrown out of the raft inside the slide, rolling down without any protection. A father and an older boy were the first to fall out of the Aquasphere. The worried man picked up his son, realizing his arm was broken. He looked around for the younger child and, in horror, realized he was nowhere to be found. Suddenly, the boy fell out of the tube. His entire body was covered in scratches and bruises, and he had lost consciousness. Other visitors were scared, and the desperate father tried to revive his son. The boy regained consciousness only after 15 minutes and was immediately taken to the...
Imagine, these had to be like the most horrific 50 minutes of this father's life, thinking your son is dead.
Hospital. the attraction was closed again and completely rebuilt in 2016, leaving only one sphere. But
Without these spheres, yeah, I see.
for this, several visitors had to get injured. Yet even this isn't the worst thing that can happen in water parks.
Really?
In 2013, in Ontario, Canada, locals started buzzing about Calypso-themed water park. Not that they talked about it because of how good it was, but rather because 20 people took the park to court over injuries they got there. So, in the summer of 2012, the bobsled crew unleashed 2 boats onto the track simultaneously. They smashed into each other, and a guy named Marek Strela
How can that happen?
got tossed out of his seat, smacking his head on a concrete fence.
I need real footage, but of course we cannot show this footage here on YouTube, but I want to see the real footage. I'm too interested, and then I have nightmares tonight.
A month later, in the wave pool at Calypso Palace, a glitch in the electrical system messed up some gadgets, leading to a major chlorine dump into the water. 15 people had to be rushed to the hospital due to chemical poisoning.
That can happen? Too much chlorine?
But the real nightmare for the park visitors was the steamer ride. It's like a colossal
I've been in such a slide, like the steamer ride, like a few times in different water parks.
whirlwind that spins you around really fast and then spits you out through a
these are fun.
tube into a
Sometimes you go in that hole forward, sometimes backwards. It's fun.
pool. Just in one summer month of 2011, 10 people got injured on the steamer.
10 people? How can that happen?
During that season, a couple named Sophie St. Jacques and Mark Bertrand visited the park. The pair excitedly took their spots on the steamer's raft, zoomed down, and started swirling in this giant vortex. They did a few spins before getting close to the exit hole. That's when Sophie felt water completely engulfing her, heard a loud bang, and blacked out. The raft they were on flipped while entering the tube and threw the passengers into the pool. Sophie woke up in that very pool a moment later. She couldn't get up due to the horrific pain in her neck, so she crawled to the edge. Finally, she managed to grab onto the railing with one hand and hold her neck with the other, burning like it was on fire. Sophie screamed about it to the park staff, and all they demanded was for her to get out of the pool and not ruin the experience for other visitors. It wasn't until it became obvious that Sophie was seriously injured that they called an ambulance. As it turned out, she broke her neck and had to go through extensive rehab. Her husband Mark even wrote about the tragic
There's like a bad TripAdvisor review. That's crazy. Calypso Water Park in Ontario.
situation on a travel website to warn other visitors. Moreover, it turned out that another person broke their back the same month, and the tragedies on the steamer kept happening.
What? I have been there a few times on such a slide. That didn't seem dangerous, to be honest. It was just fun.
Eventually, Calypso Water Park was found guilty of safety
Oh, this water park looks fun.
violations and fined $400,000.
Oh my gosh, 400k. This is even for that water park. It's a lot, I guess. 400k.
Only 100 of which went as compensation to all the known victims.
Not as much as for a private person, of course, guys, but it's not nothing for that water park. You know what I mean?
But if you think it affected the park's operation, or at least the dangerous ride, you're dead wrong. Calypso keeps running, managing to injure,
Capitalism. The people, they have to still earn money.
welcome, of course.
all
Around 22,000 people a day. You'd think
Wow, that's crazy. 22,000 people a day, visitors a day? That's crazy much.
it couldn't get any worse, but oh boy, you're in for a surprise. In Vernon, New Jersey, there's a water park folks call the Accident Park, or Traction
There's still no German water park, guys, and here are a lot of water parks.
Park. Yeah, you heard it right. They're talking about spine-pulling action. Initially, the place was known as Action Park and first opened its doors back in 1978. But what went down there was more like a horror flick than an amusement park. They rolled out one of the gnarliest water slides in the world, breaking all the rules of physics.
What? The cannonball loop? No way. First of all, it doesn't look stable, you know? It looks very dangerous. It can break at any time. And then what if you do not have enough speed? This is so dangerous. You can fall here from the ceiling down or roll backwards, and this loop is very tight. I would get a panic attack inside there. Please do not have claustrophobia when you go down this slide. No. There have to be so much injuries. And then it gets like banned. There's no other way. There's no way this thing still exists. This is just not possible.
The cannonball loop. It was this narrow tube ending in a full vertical loop.
What? And this is like the entrance? That doesn't look... This is an official theme park? That doesn't look professional. Where the guys are here landing on something. Here's like a wooden plank or something. Just a wooden stairs. No, this is so dangerous. Guys, this is not professional.
Instead of landing in a pool, visitors essentially hit a wet carpet. Rumor has it that the dummies they used for ride tests were returning without limbs from the trial.
Yeah, but dummies. Yeah. It is important what happens with real humans and not with dummies.
The slide was so terrifying that no one wanted to ride it. So the park administration
wow, what a wonder.
Bribed its employees. They offered $100 per ride, which would be 3 times that.
They have to pay. They have to pay the visitors to ride that slide. Otherwise, no one wants to do it.
Now, yet the workers saw what this slide did to visitors and weren't having it.
This is just crazy.
In just a month, in 1985, dozens of people got injured. Broken noses.
Dozens of people, yeah, broke noses, because when you have too less speed on the ceiling, you fall down, this is just... And it's dark inside there. You cannot tell me that there's light inside. This is just craziness.
Head hits, passing out, limbs snapping, and getting stuck in the loop.
Oh, okay, but the pool is getting bigger at the end.
On top of that, sand and grime piled up at the bottom, literally scraping people's skin on their backs, stomachs, or chests, depending on how they were entering the loop. Once, a visitor fell out with significant lacerations on their body. They shut the slide down to determine the injury
Of course they shut it down. Of course they banned it.
Cause. And it turned out that it was someone else's teeth stuck in the tube's inner walls.
What?
While riding the loop, visitors experienced a G-force of up to 9 Gs. To put it in perspective, astronauts on Apollo 16 returning to Earth faced about 7 Gs.
More Gs than in an actual rocket in the Apollo. Yeah, I think this slide has to be banned.
The cannonball loop ceased operations in...
This is just too dangerous, and it's so tight, and you get all the water in your face. You do not even realize that you're doing like a loop, because you're so fast. You're just concentrating on going straight, sprain your ankles, and that you can breathe because of all the water. And you're so fast you cannot even enjoy the loop. You know what I mean? So it's actually just a dumb idea.
A month after opening, but reopened a few times during the park's existence. Despite its wild nature, this ride didn't claim lives like the tidal wave pool.
At least no one died.
This 76 by 30 meter water pit could hold from 500 to 1,000 people at once. The waves in
As a security guy, you cannot have the overview here.
it reached 1 meter in height and went on for 20 minutes straight. Way too long and too high for such an attraction.
Yeah.
It claimed the life of a 15-year-old boy in 1982. And later, 2 more young guys suffered the same fate. Hence, it got the nickname Grave Pool. Another deadly spot
When your pool has the nickname Grave Pool, you have to think about it.
in Action Park was the Alpine Slide,
What is that?
causing over
You can like
40
fly it out of the slide very easily.
serious injuries. In
40 injuries.
1980, a guy got thrown from the ride, hit his head, and died.
You're right, but you're riding like on a device. Okay, yeah.
Rumor has it that Action Park had to buy extra ambulances for the local hospital because so many people got injured there. It's considered the most dangerous water park in America of all time, yet it kept running for 20 years.
That's
Then
just
it got
crazy.
sold, upgraded, and surprise, surprise, Action
It's reopened?
Park got a new life under a different name. And though there's no global statistic, the odds of getting hurt seem higher on water slides than on any dry land rides in an amusement park.
Of course, because you're not in a fixed place, like with a belt or something.
Often they lack safety belts, and the high-speed turn
And you're driving on your you're sliding on your pure skin, so of course it's more risky to get like injuries in water slides than on dry roller coaster or something.
What looks like soft and safe water into concrete. So, just to be on the safe side, check out the history of the ride you're about to hop on. Or subscribe to our channel and hit that like.
Guys, this is all for today. Very interesting video. That was kind of awesome. I hope you enjoyed the video too. And sleep well tonight. My name is Mats. We are the Hey Squad, the best community in the world. Subscribe my channel. You can do it here. Here to other videos. I upload daily videos, daily shorts. Subscribe, support. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Thank you and bye-bye.